Well, here's the little restoration project. Um, as you can see, I'm not in my normal basement electronics workbench in Virginia, not in Arizona, in a big garage with a bunch of car projects, restoration projects. There's a 56 Buick up there. There's a fully restored 46 Willys Jeep there. And there's a partially restored 39 Cadillac right there. But what we're going to work on restoring right now is this Pioneer PL-115D turntable from 1976-77. So I picked this up at local thrift store, Savers, for $15. And it looks like it's all there. It's pretty dirty, of course. I have lifted the mat here already. This is popping out, this little trim ring. And I've reached down in there and grabbed out the remnants of the belt, which are right here. So it looks like it didn't turn to tar, just kind of fell apart. So hopefully, once I take that platter off, there's not too much down in there yet to be cleaned. We'll see. It does have a little Pickering cartridge. I don't know if it's any good. We'll check that out later on. But here I have checked the motor, and the motor does turn. It's relatively silent, so hopefully that's in good shape. So first thing, the only real problem I see right now is that there is a crack here in the dust cover. I'm not sure if that will spread or if I need to do anything with that. We'll see, but I think we'll start cleaning this up and see if we can get it working again. Alright, we got the turntable cleaned up fairly well. I took the platter off and the mat, and there's nothing holding that down, it just pulls off. So if you're working on one of these and you turn it upside down, you probably want to pull the platter off first, because it's going to come flying off if it's loose. This one was stuck a little bit, but just one tug, putting your fingers through here and pulling it up, and it popped off. So the next thing I need to do is really take this off right here, that little keeper, and then pull the spindle out. That's turning, but I think it's pretty dry. We'll have to lubricate down there. And this mechanism seems to be okay. I already put a little drop of oil in there just to get that going. Add a little drop of oil right down here, the top bearing of the motor. It's already very quiet. Now what I'm going to have to do, I can tell, here's the suspension. This side's okay, but this side here is pretty much bottoming out already. You can see that the whole tone arm and everything moves with the suspension. So there's some adjustments in here. I'll need to get on the inside of that thing and adjust these up. And here's a tip too. I was using alcohol to kind of clean up around the tone arm, and I got a little bit on the deck, and it kind of deteriorated the plastic. So I'll have to clean that up. So there's a tip: keep your alcohol away from the plastic deck. It seems to cause an issue. So I'll go ahead and take this off, pull that out, and see what we got underneath. Alright, got the little keeper off there. And let's pull this guy out. And I can tell it feels a little bit dry. Yeah, it's certainly a little dirty. And not too much lubrication on there, so we'll go ahead and clean that out with some Q-tips. And yeah, it's got some. It's pretty dirty down there. You can see. Get that cleaned down. Now there should be a little ball bearing down in there too, so I'll want to turn that upside down and pull that out, but make sure you want to capture that, don't lose it. That's what this actually, this part right here rides on. So I'll have to pull that out and clean it up and then put some oil down in there and get that lubricated. So here's how many Q-tips it took of dipping down in there to get it clean. I use some alcohol and some dry just to clean it out. And there's that little ball that you don't want to lose. So what we'll do is drop that guy right back down in there. And then we'll put a little oil in it in the shaft. I'm just going to use a little 3-in-1 oil. Just maybe a drop or two. There we go. And then I'll put a drop just right on the shaft here just to lubricate that. And I'll drop the whole thing down in there. You can see it's kind of bubbling up. It makes kind of a tight fit. Just turn that a little bit just to get it to go down. And there we go. It's nice. Turns much better than it did before. I'll go ahead and put this back on, and that task will be done. Alright, I got the bottom off the Pioneer turntable here. Just unscrewed it. It flops back. There's one wire that kind of keeps it connected. Keep the tension off that a little bit. So here are the little adjustable suspension knobs. These things, I don't know if I can show it, but they have like 4 clicks. So there's all the way out, and then there's step 1, I think step 2. It kind of puts a little bit more tension on that spring right down there, and then eventually it loosens it all the way up. So I figure probably after 40 years that spring's probably pretty worn, so I might tighten all these up. There's 4 of them to the tightest, and then flip it over and see how the whole tone arm and platter is suspending. Then here's the bottom of the motor. Well, I've already taken the little nuts off of that. Whatever that is, a number something millimeter 7 maybe. Just going to take this little plate off here, and there's the bottom bearing. So we'll go ahead and use a little 3-in-1 oil on that too, just to get both the top and the bottom bearing of the motor lubricated. And you can see it's a 4-pole motor. So that's what we'll do. Adjust the suspension, lubricate, clean it up down here, and then flip it over and see how it works. Alright, with the suspension adjusted all the way out, I think it may be too tight over here at the actual turntable, because it seems like it's hitting at the top, where this side is more in the middle. So I think these are over here are good. I'm going to loosen these over here maybe a notch or two and see if that balances this a little bit better. So I'll flip it back over again and make that adjustment. Alright, I think I finally got this adjusted. Turns out those little suspension adjustment knobs have about 8 or 9 clicks of change in elevation. So I've got the one under the tone arm set at the maximum, and then I've got the one under the platter set at about 7 clicks of 9, and this is 9 clicks of 9, and that seems to have it right about in the middle, where the platter doesn't rub when it turns. You still seem to have good suspension travel on both sides here. So I think that's about right. I'm going to go ahead and put the screws back in on the bottom and button it up, and I should get a belt today to put on this thing and see if it turns. I got the belt installed, just got it today. Also used a little bit of 4/0 steel wool to kind of clean up this trim ring here a little bit, and the tone arm, and also the platter right here along the edge where it was a little yellowed. It makes it look a lot better. Now let's see what kind of RPM we're getting here. That's on 33. Yeah, 33 1/3, and it looks pretty close. At 45. Yeah, it's a little off, but probably pretty close. So, and the auto return mechanism is working well. There it goes. Chunk, chunk. A little jerky coming back. I'm not sure if that's anything you can do about that, but it does function and turns off. Or if you have it on and you press this little return button, it does the same thing. So there we go. Gonna hook it up to a amplifier now. I'll try to clean up this dust cover a little bit more and see if it works. It looks like the Pioneer turntable is working properly. I've got it playing this old, it's the only long playing 33 1/3 that I've got here in Arizona. All my normal vinyl collections in Virginia. But this appears to be a very early 10-inch 33 1/3. I think these things were released as far back as 1948. So this could be that old. Anyway, here it is playing it. It's an old George Gershwin record. So I got both sides stereo working, although it's a mono record, of course, from that early. But everything seems to be working. I'll hit the return button and watch it go back. So I think this will pretty much wrap up the restoration of the Pioneer. I will probably maybe get some plexiglass cleaner here to kind of clean up this dust cover. But outside of that, I think it's ready to go. Be a nice addition to the collection.